Welcome to JoyNews Prime. Our top stories tonight. The presidency's spending of 62 million Ghana cedis on foreign travels within 9 months and other expenses on refreshment, funeral contributions and school fees spark calls for accountability.
He's creating an impression as though when he was the deputy finance minister, figures released to the chief of staff's office were far lesser than some given to some ministries. Yeah. And I'm saying that to that extent, he's wrong.
But that debate was reduced to comparison.
Mr. Speaker, foreign travel costs for 9 months alone is 62.5 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, 62.5 million Ghana cedis for foreign travel costs for a period of 9 good months. Mr. Speaker, I strongly believe that this amount is too much.
NDC Chairman Samuel Ofusampo warns the country could be plunged into chaos if the Electoral Commission goes ahead to compile fresh biometric voters register with less than a year to the 2020 polls.
When the political temperature in the country is very high, in an election year, we cannot toy with the future, the security of this country by introducing something that we don't know what is inside.
The party vows to resist any attempt by the election management body to spend 444 million cedis on a process they describe as needless.
You, in the strongest of terms, our objection to what appears to be a decision of the Jean Mensah Bosma Asare-led Electoral Commission to compile a new voters register.
Also, over 100 residents in Tema now homeless after a demolition exercise early Thursday morning.
You better bontin na yesu afre papa no say nyankopon be boa na waye boa fama ye pa ban cha wo say omo aye na ye ntraki osodim ni to me fa hwe ye ma e say sami to me ma me ewu ya na ye hozili e de hwe ye mu.
And in business,
despite Joy Business's report indicating limited supply of local rice on the market ahead of the Yuletide, rice processor Avnash assures Ghana has capacity to produce and supply enough rice to meet demand.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. JoyNews Prime come to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle here in our Crown Digital address GA0992539. We're also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Please stay tuned in. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with the President Akufo-Addo, who is said to have spent in excess of 70 million cedis on foreign trips alone. The overseas presidential trips have always been a major concern for the ordinary Ghanaian due to its frequency. Some claim the president always jettisons out of the country every fortnight. Speculations on the accrued amount of those visits were laid to rest when the 2020 budgetary allocation of the Office of Government Machinery was presented on the floor of Parliament. The document gives a breakdown of 62 million cedis for foreign travel costs and expenses, hotel accommodation 5.85 million cedis, and 1.9 for refreshments. First, watch the debate on the floor of Parliament.
Speaker, we were informed by the Office of the President that within the period from January to September, they have indeed spent an amount of 307 million Ghana cedis. The Speaker, 307 million Ghana cedis for that period. The Speaker, we were given the breakdown of this amount, of which we were told the goods and services alone amounting to about 270 million Ghana cedis. The Speaker, of this amount, the Chief of Staff Secretariat alone spent an amount of 168 million Ghana cedis as goods and services. Mr. Speaker, I believe this amount is quite a lot. And indeed, if you are to compare that amount to some of the agencies in question, Mr. Speaker, it will surprise you to know that some important agency like that of the Infrastructure Ministry is equivalent to that of the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing. Mr. Speaker, Works and Housing, for instance, did not have enough money to be able to undertake the needed infrastructure development. Mr. Speaker, goods and services alone for that period is 168.9. Mr. Speaker, apart from that, if you were to look at the breakdown, operational enhancement expenses alone at the Chief of Staff Secretariat is 68.9 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, foreign travel costs for 9 months alone is 62.5 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, 62.5 million Ghana cedis for foreign travel costs for a period of 9 good months. Mr. Speaker, I strongly believe that this amount is too much.
Allocations to the Office of Chief of Staff within the 8-year regime, particularly when he became Deputy Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, he knows that the figures were far higher. And I challenge him, far higher as compared to others allocated to ministries. Mr. Speaker, if he's making an absolute statement, an absolute submission, I have no problem. But if you argue in relative terms, then I challenge him. I challenge him, bring out the figures you had when you were Deputy Finance Minister. Whether or not Water Resources Ministry had more.
Which figures are higher? Do you have them?
Mr. Speaker, if you keep quiet for me to pay attention, Mr. Speaker, to help. Mr. Speaker, the impression he seeks to create is that the government is allocating so much to the ministry, to the Chief of Staff's office, and ignoring an infrastructure ministry like Water Resources. This is what he said. My point is, if he is making an absolute statement, he will be within his right. However, he is creating an impression as though when he was the Deputy Finance Minister, figures released to the Chief of Staff's office were far lesser than some given to some ministries. Yes. And I'm saying that to that extent, he's wrong. He shouldn't mislead us.
So it means that you have evidence that it was equal or more.
Mr. Speaker,
that's what I want you to show.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, it is my humble contention that when he was the Deputy Finance Minister and when I had the privilege of being a member of the Finance Committee, the budget that we received, and Mr. Speaker, this is a House of Records. He was there. He knows that the Chief of Staff's office received more than some ministries. If he's denying that, let us put that to street proof.
The minority, however, wants the Chief of Staff to provide a detailed breakdown of how the expanded 3.4 billion Ghana cedis approved by Parliament in 2019. Ranking member on Parliament's Finance Committee, Kesila Toforthing, who is demanding accountability from government, argues that the amount spent could have been used to provide basic amenities for the suffering Ghanaian. He spoke to the media.
I strongly believe that the time has come for Ghanaians to demand accountability from the office of the president in terms of the expenditure that goes on. In fact, it will surprise you to know that apart from the foreign travel costs, domestic, local accommodation, he spent 5.8 million Ghana cedis on accommodation, local, not foreign accommodation, which is in excess of $1 million. Again, the operational enhancement support expenses, he spent 68.9, almost 69 million Ghana cedis on operational support expenses. What sort of operational expenses is this? Operational expenses to do what? 68 million. Apart from the 65 million that he used to travel, is he buying a new plane with 62.3 million Ghana from 62.5 million Ghana cedis? Refreshment, partying, tea, 1.980, almost 2 million Ghana cedis on refreshment, tea. How? The Vice President's office is similar. He also spent in fact, they spend almost the same amount on refreshment. His Excellency the President spent 25, what do you call it, pesos more than the Vice President on refreshment. I mean, look, we need to demand accountability like any other minister that we are demanding accountability. We've been demanding accountability for every other sector ministers. There's no need for us to exempt the office of the president. The office of the Chief of Staff is spending a bit too much. This is contrary to the past. No government has spent this kind of money for foreign travels. No government. No, they should tell us. They should tell us how much. We never did that. These guys, are you sure they would have sat down for us to do this? No. 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 No president in history has spent about $12 million for 9 months only for foreign travels. No president in our history. No office of the Chief of Staff has done that.
I mean, the president has
so they should bring it. Look, no, this one has nothing to do. This one has nothing to. Let me tell you, this one has nothing to do with the dignitaries he receives. This is the travels he himself has traveled with his delegation. We should demand for accountability. We want to find out how he traveled. What kind of plane is he using? Why is it that it's so expensive than others? Why is it that the most expensive travel in the history of Ghana? We need to find out.
So you want a detailed breakdown?
Yes, we want a detailed breakdown. Simple as that.
Evans Mensah is head of our political desk. He's been going through the expenditure. He joins me in the studio with more on this. Evans, first take us through the expenditure. What and how much was spent for what?
A few of the controversial line items. So if you take the Chief of Staff Secretariat, there is what Forson is just talking about, the foreign travel cost and expenses, which is 62 million cedis. Then you also find maintenance and repairs of vehicles at 5.9 million cedis. Now linked to that is fuel and lubricants, right, which is also separate at 4.8 million cedis. Now there's clearly a question there, because if we have maintenance and repairs of vehicles, normally fuel and lubricants
will go under maintenance and repairs.
But you have a separate cost for maintenance and repairs at 5.9 million, and then fuel and lubricants alone at 4.8 million. So that's a key question that needs to be explained. And then you also have refreshments, which has come up for some controversy at 1.9 million cedis for refreshments. And this is over a period of 9 months from January to September. There's hotel accommodation, which is 5.8 million, and there is telecommunications, which is 1.8 million. That's just for the Chief of Staff Secretariat.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the Cabinet Secretariat, you know, that also has a few line items that have raised eyebrows. For example, school fees.
Yes.
Pegged at 10,000 cedis. I mean, in comparison...
Do we have a breakdown of what school fees, I mean, what level of basic, SHS, what kind of school fees are we talking about?
So the document only says school fees 10,930 cedis. So we don't know what the school fees is for. I mean, but there are questions there. I mean, the Cabinet Secretariat, why is Cabinet Secretariat paying school fees?
Yep.
It's a question to ask. Also, if you look there too, they also have air ticket, travel and visa fees at 386,000 cedis. They, in fact, also have the honorarium, which is what, 421,000 cedis. Now, night allowance, again, needs to be explained. What is night allowance? For who exactly? Is 24,000 cedis. Now, funeral donations have also been captured. It's also been captured at 26,000 cedis.
Wow.
So then there's beverages and snacks.
Apart from the refreshment.
So this refreshment is under Chief of Staff Secretary.
Okay, and
this is under Cabinet Secretary.
That's fine.
There's beverages and snacks, which is put at 436,000 cedis. But it's relevant to compare beverages and snacks to catering services.
Okay, which is all, I mean...
yeah, right. This catering service, which is also separate.
Okay, from the beverages and snacks.
Which is 800,000 cedis. And so again, the question to ask is, why is there a separation between
beverages and snacks and then catering services?
If you combine the two, we are talking about in excess of 1.2 million cedis just for food and beverages and catering services. So that's one. Now, you remember that I said that there's lubricants, right?
Yes.
There's another document page that deals with details of general administration.
Okay.
Also has a line item there for fuel and lubricants at 2.9 million cedis.
Okay.
Okay. So question there to ask is, how many vehicles, you know, did the fuel and lubricants go? There's toiletries, so toilet roll, etc. That also came down to 1.2 million cedis.
Okay.
So those are the details that have come up with something.
And interestingly, one of the things we saw there is the two parties again playing blame game and comparing each government. You're the head of political desk. How does it come across to you that you know, protecting the public purse is now turned or lowered to this level?
We did some fact checking because in Parliament there was a debate over.
I'll come to that where Ato Forson says that that's history. It's never happened. No government has ever spent that. But I'm worried that protecting public purse has now turned into comparison.
For me, if you look at, for example, the Chief of Staff Secretariat, the question to ask is, what did Parliament approve for the Chief of Staff Secretariat to spend?
Okay.
That's first question. So far, have they spent within that budget?
Yeah.
If you ask that question, Ato Forson says the budget that Parliament approved for the Chief of Staff Secretariat was in excess of 200 million cedis.
Okay.
In 9 months, what they've spent is 168 million cedis. So they are within the budget.
They're still within the budget.
So they haven't
exceeded. Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah.
Then there's a second leg of the argument, which is, okay, so the money they spent so far, which is legally within the budget that they've been giving, what did they spend it on? And then you can then question the propriety of what they spent it on. The minority's position is that if you look at what they spent it on, it is not legitimate.
Yeah.
But that's a different argument. I mean, depending on where you stand, if you take the budget allocation argument, there's no problem there.
Okay.
But if you then look at what they spend the money on, then you can now begin to raise questions.
But what are your facts pointing at with regards to the fact that no government has ever spent this on travels and what have you?
Now, if you look at the Chief of Staff Secretariat, and we did some digging into historical records, in 2014, when Case Latofosin was a Deputy Finance Minister, that year, the budget that was approved, the limit that was approved for the Chief of Staff Secretariat was 7.5 million cedis.
Okay.
In the 9 months, by the time that the 9-month period was up, which is January to September, the same period that we are scrutinizing now, the Chief of Staff Secretariat, the fact showed that had spent 7 times more than what the Parliament approved. So they ended up spending in 9 months 49 million cedis when they approved, the ceiling was 7.5 million cedis.
Okay.
So that is the fact. It's just pure fact. I mean, I told Forcing, I asked him that same question on Top Story, and I asked him, so that excess amount, so they spent 45 million cedis more than they were supposed to.
What they were approved.
What did they spend the money on? Because his argument was, forget about what the budget was budget approval, the figure. Look at what the money was spent on. And so then it becomes a legitimate question to ask him, because he raised the comparison.
Yeah.
What did they spend the excess budgetary amount for? And he says he didn't have it with him. So there are clearly questions on both sides.
Yeah.
What is obvious is that this has been happening for a while in terms of the Office of the President, the Jubilee House, Flagstaff House, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
The scrutiny that needs to come to it, now is the time to look at how the presidency spends and whether there could be some checks and balances on that, so that it's reined in. I mean, there are those who argue the budget argument, say, but we haven't overspent, and so what's the problem here? But if the questions about spending on school fees, spending on,
catering services, beverages and snacks, lubricants, and then maintenance and repairs are questions that we'll be asking as the days goes by. Thank you so much. Evans Mensah is head of our political desk. Still to come in this bulletin, over 100 residents in Tema Trasako now homeless after a demolition exercise early today.
Why you bought for my Papa would say, why na yen tracheostomy near to me from Shayema. I said, Sammy to a mamma, ya na ye hosily at the Shayem.
There is more when we return. There's compromise in Parliament now, and the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Kaneshie, will have his day before the Appointments Committee on Monday. An earlier advertised date was rejected by the minority, but on Thursday, leadership of the House reached a consensus on the matter, paving way for the vetting to establish the suitability of the Chief Justice nominee next week. A statement signed by the Director of Public Affairs, Kate Addo, reads, the Parliament of Ghana wishes to inform the general public that the new days for vetting and the Chief Justice nominee, His Lordship Justice Kaneshie, is on Monday, 23rd December 2019 at 9 a.m. prompt. The event will be held at the committee rooms 1 and 2 at the new administration block of Parliament. Attendance to the public hearing shall be strictly by invitation and is signed by Kate Addo, who is Director of Public Affairs at Parliament. The minority in Parliament has, however, accepted the new date. An Accra High Court has set Friday, December 20 to rule on an application for bail filed by a defense lawyer in the alleged coup plot. Victor Adawudu, who represents 7 of the accused persons on Thursday, argued they have been kept in custody for 3 months without trial commencing. His clients have been in the custody of the state since September, when government announced that a coup plot has been foiled. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was in court as state prosecutors opposed the application for bail.
The High Court, presided over by Justice George Buedi in November, ruled that the accused persons were lawfully arrested and have not been kept in custody unreasonably. Mr. Dawodu in his fresh application says 3 months in custody without trial is unreasonable. Senior State Attorney Hilda Craig opposed the bail application. She said the case against the accused persons was such that once the trial starts, the foundations of the nation will shake. She urged the court to consider the seriousness of the charges and understand why the prosecutors have taken long to finish investigations. She said the accused persons are likely to interfere with investigations if they are granted bail. Justice Mensah Dacha adjourned proceedings to Friday, December 20 to deliver her ruling. Family of ACP Agojo, who is also standing trial on the charge of treason felony, have meanwhile accused police prosecutors of seizing his gadgets. This includes mobile phone, laptop and iPads. State prosecutors on Thursday urged the Kaneshie District Court to grant it more time to hold the accused persons in custody as it continues with investigations. They informed the court they were preparing to forward the docket to the Attorney General's office for advice. The case was adjourned to Wednesday, January 8, 2020.
Over 100 residents in Tema have been rendered homeless after a demolition exercise early Thursday by a combined force of military and police personnel. The displaced residents, who were standing by helplessly after most of their properties were destroyed, said they were not forewarned about the exercise. They urged government to intervene by putting up shelters for the less privileged or risk having the streets flooded with homeless people. Some victims who spoke to JoyNews described the incident as unfortunate. Pesia Nanaya Osafo was there and spoke to residents.
They were here at 4 a.m. to demolish the buildings. Many of the children ran away. More people who fled their kiosk are yet to be accounted for. It is a hard life for us. Even setting up a kiosk for a home cost about 1,500 cedis. The country has camps for refugees. We accommodate them, yet the young men struggling have no camps here.
This is where we undergo our livelihoods. They destroyed every container and kiosk in the vicinity. We were not informed of this demolition exercise.
I am here because I do not have money to rent my own room. The rates of advance payments are way too high.
Okay, but what time was it? How did it happen?
4 o'clock. Some woman was calling and said that they are scattering the kiosk.
Where were you sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay. And now it's not there. Where are you going to sleep tonight?
I don't know.
You better bontin. Now you swear afre papa no. Say Nyankopon be boa na. Why you boa for my? Ye pa ban cha we say. Omo aye na ye track kiosk ni. Ni to me fan say ye ma. I say sami to me ma me wu. Ya na ye hozili e de hye ye mu. Nti de e ka cha ban ni say ye pa na cha pa ohun ye mobo. Se mimi ti o ya na na kufado. Tama me ye adwuma wo madam be fie ye aduane de ko na the way o situation ni ma no o titi o very good pa ma ko ni fie da mini fie ba bibia owo nti e ka say the way o situation ni kola na onyo muti fie no on titi yes ya pa na cho say o mo aye na o pe ba bi ma ye say ba bi no be pa ma ya na ye mbok yo so ni bi na ye ntram say da be ya yesu e be fa adwena ya to asase ni bi no e de sifie.
Still ahead of this bulletin, NDC Chairman Samuel Ofosampo warns the country could be plunged into chaos if the Electoral Commission goes ahead to compile fresh biometric voters register with less than a year to the 2020 polls.
When the political temperature in the country is very high, in an election year, we cannot toy with the future, the security of this country by introducing something that we don't know what is inside.
The party vows to resist any attempts by the election management body to spend 444 million cedis on a process they describe as needless.
In the strongest of terms, our objection to what appears to be a decision of the JoyNews Asari-led Electoral Commission to compile a new voters register.
The business segments comes up shortly. Time now for some health tips. Are you experiencing headache? Are you feeling nausea or neck pain? Don't take it lightly. See a doctor. Here's Benjamin Sarkodie, an interventional radiologist, with some advice.
Documented that 6% of the population have a brain aneurysm. The only reason why we don't see it too much is the fact that people get symptoms only when it ruptures. So you may have it without knowing until it ruptures. However, with a simple test by MRI with CT scan, you can now detect brain aneurysms. So we are raising awareness amongst the general public, amongst doctors, telling people that this condition is here with us, and so let us take action. So we just want to let people know that there's a condition called brain aneurysm. It is a condition that can lead to death. It's a condition also that can be diagnosed easily. So for people who have sudden headaches, people who collapse, they come with vomiting, they come with neck pain, they come with all sorts of things, it needs to be investigated. We just don't rule it out as malaria. So if you have any headache, that comes with vomiting, that comes with neck pain, that comes with you trying to close your eyes to light, it tells you that it's bigger than a regular headache, and you may have to go and see your doctor.
Away from Health Matters, National Democratic Congress Chairman Samuel Ofusampofo has warned Ghana outcry. The country could be plunged into chaos if the Electoral Commission goes ahead to compile a fresh biometric voters register with only months to the 2020 polls. The latest position by the party follows a justification by the Electoral Commission. The new biometric system will cut out excesses and address challenges with a system it describes as outdated. At a news conference in Accra Thursday, Mr. Ofusampofo said the current political climate does not support the EC's quest to procure a new biometric system.
Nothing is wrong with the data that we have, and the Electoral Commission has no business going around to capture new data again. Near to say in an election year of alcohol protocol, election year no, we don't introduce new systems into the electoral system in an election year. But the fact of the matter is when the political temperature in the country is very high in an election year, na obi ba na muntie na nse amuse moye NIA for my 1 year timetable say one of the bachelor Ghana fooding. Almost 2 years, almost 30 years, they have not covered the whole country. In an election year, we cannot toy with the future, the security of this country by introducing something that we don't know what is inside. Yes, sir, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know, Madam.
The NDC says it will, in the strongest terms, resist attempts by the Electoral Commission to force a new voters register on Ghanaians. Johnson Asidun Ketia is General Secretary of the party.
2 days ago, the current voters register was used to successfully elect about 6,600 district assembly members and about 33,000 unit committee members. Yet the Electoral Commission is telling us that the same register cannot be used to elect 1 president and 275 members of parliament. The cost of a new voter registration exercise is another matter altogether. We are informed that it involves the procurement of a new biometric registration system, the cost of which is estimated at a gargantuan sum of over 444 million new Ghana cedis. And we are going to do this at a time when teachers are crying, nurses are crying, contractors are crying, drivers are crying, students are crying. You will recall that in March of this year, the National Democratic Congress demanded the withdrawal of a deceptive IPAC communique written by the Electoral Commission after an IPAC meeting which sought to create the impression that, quote, after exhaustive deliberations, all the parties agreed that there will be a compilation of a new biometric voters register. Our request for us to be furnished with all the issues on the current system is yet to be fully responded to. Indeed, there was a rush email sent to us after the advertisement of this press conference, purporting to give us some cooked up reasons why they think there must be a change in the registration system. We asked for what they themselves referred to as a consultant's evaluation of the system. We asked for a copy of that report. It is yet to be given out to us. All that we have is a commentary from them of what the report is purported to have said. But we haven't seen the report.
With pressure mounting on the Commission to reverse its decision, the governing New Patriotic Party says it has no problems with the new role if the EC can satisfy a number of conditions, including resources availability and time schedules.
Position is clear. 3 conditions. If the resources are there, if there is time enough between now and the election, and if there is demonstrated utility for the new register, which means that the old one has to be such that it cannot perform at all, then we would have no option but to follow through. But we are also interested in how it will merge with the census. You are aware that there's going to be a census day. Yes, March, I think it's March 31st. It's going to be the census night in Ghana. So when I talk about time, I'm also looking at how the EC's processes merge with the census night, because that also informs redemarcation or otherwise of some of the districts and constituencies that will be fighting in an election conducted by the EC. So 3 things: optimizing resources, the time, and demonstrated utility that only a new register at all costs can solve the issue that we have ahead of us. And if those conditions are satisfied, we believe we will go along with the EC in executing its mandate for a new register.
The communication director of the NPP also says the NDC will tear down the gains made over the years if they get to come back to occupy the Jubilee House.
Think at all that parties are incapable of leading this country. We are not a mere election machine. We are different from the NDC. We are ready. Our motto is development in freedom. We develop in freedom. We allow everybody space to think, to speak, to be innovative, but development goes on. And that includes criticism of us. So this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, as we go into conference, we invite Ghana to protect the gains we have made in establishing a functional economy. We dare say the NDC cannot maintain what we are building. Indeed, from their record, they will tear it down. They've torn it down before. After they took over from Kufuor, they will cancel policies and they will reverse policies. They will tear it down. They were not able to deliver on their promise on NHIA. They will not deliver on free SHS. They will tear it down.
He also defended some policy initiatives and why the party and President Akufo-Addo deserve 4 more years.
We insist, and we will continue to insist, that we are different from the NDC. We promised change, an agenda for jobs, creating prosperity for all. And that is the title of our manifesto. Change, an agenda for all. An agenda for jobs, creating prosperity and equal opportunity for all. Interestingly, perhaps this manifesto has been the one that has been most analyzed and surveyed ever in the history of this country. People are counting promises, people are looking at what we've delivered, and otherwise. We think it's a healthy debate. But whilst we see progress being made, we, the party, believe we are on the right path. Of course, we cannot deliver all our promises at the same time. We would also like an evaluation based on the long-term impact of what we are doing, rather than just counting the promises. Because
the governing New Patriotic Party is set to hold its National Delegates Conference this Sunday in Accra to review its performance over the last 3 years as it heads into election 2020. The party is patting itself on its back for what it describes as steady progress on the various campaign promises it made to Ghanaian electorates in 2016. The National Delegates Conference, which is expected to be attended by 6,500 members, kicks off Friday with a Jumu'ah prayer. If you need fresh meat for Christmas, maybe one of the places you should be heading to is a Kaneshie market. Reason? AMA sanitation inspectors on the Joy Clean Ghana campaign team have commended butchers and meat sellers there for keeping good sanitary conditions. In the following report, Komla Adom takes us to the Kaneshie market abattoir, and here's what he found.
We're a recce of a place to have my fresh beef, mutton and goat meat ahead of Christmas, then it certainly was worthwhile. This is why. Last month, the Joy Clean Ghana campaign team's visit to the abattoir revealed, among others, unhygienic handling of food in sanitary conditions and even more.
The meat is killed and slaughtered under unhygienic condition. And when they bring it to the market here, this is where they look at how they have exposed. Look at the clothing, whatever is here, the meat is here. And do you expect us to come and clean the place for you? We have to come and clean it. Okay, now we'll enforce the law and we'll see what is AMA that will come and clean it for you.
The Israel cold store was even worse.
To be honest with you, this is your cold room, isn't it? Yeah. Look at though there is pallets here. You can see how dirty these pallets are. You can see how dirty the floor is. You can see the condition under which that you store this meat and you bring it out for sale. Rotten fishes all over. The place. The right things must be done. You close the place down.
I'm not challenging.
Okay, so
all these things.
You do it well. You are making money.
I'm not challenging.
We are not in to deprive you of whatever you are doing. But there are basic things that you should do.
But 1 week for me to clean this.
1 week.
No, not 1 week, but by the end of the week, I will do everything to come and see.
So come out. When we close.
But after the task force issued stern directives for the butchers and meat mongers to get their act together, the situation has improved. The verdict from Inspectors Joseph Asitanga and Florence Kuchi this time was
because expect papers no biba say emfa na moton na mukun nam no emfa na hwan na ehwe nam no na mo so mo yare ne mo pondi me te sen nti ukura saka na o de kire ne oto ade no on so onye reshem se obeto ade amo.
And so was the situation with the Israel cold store on our follow-up visit.
Ordered him to provide adequate balance and make sure he decongest the cold room and prepare the place hygienically and acceptable to the standards of public health. And he did so. So today we are happy that the place is in order. So congratulations, thank you.
Thank you very much that you have helped me to do what I should have done.
Leader of the Butchers Association here, Alhaji Sule, is gratified by the new look of a meat hub.
And we
thank AMA for the screening, and we appreciate it. Some of us have realized that they have a problem, and through this screening, now they are solving their problems, health problem. And almost 98% of our members has taken part. Here is the names. Those who has taken part, almost 95%, and some of the fishmongers. So we want every butcher, even if I can speak Hausa, for them to hear kuduka kuyana de kyau. In wani ciyo na jikin ka maka gani ka je ka nemi magani shi yasa yana da kyau kowa yayi. Wannan mu ne ba na wani bane aiki mu ne, it is our business. We were born as butchers, so we must take part because it's part of butchery. Thank you, Olga.
Here is Chumesi Ankra, who operates the Israel Cold Store.
Cleanliness is utmost, so you should tell your people, tell the public to come and help us do our business, carry on our business.
And you pledge that we will not return to the bad days when we came here again.
We shall never do that. We shall keep the cleanness in an utmost perfection.
So, I leave the meat hub at the Kaneshie market, knowing I am certainly returning here in a couple of days to buy exactly 4 pounds of beef, goat and mutton for my Christmas party. If you still are in a dilemma over where to get your clean meat, you may consider the Kaneshie market.
Import of tomatoes to Ghana from neighboring Burkina Faso hit $100 million last year. The figure is even higher for processed tomatoes imported, but government is hoping to reverse the trend under the Government Agric Improvement Program. Thursday at Shai Osudoku, President Akufo-Addo commissioned a $23 million tomato processing factory. The Chinese Lee Found Food Staff Ghana Limited employs 600 people and is expected to produce 54,000 tons of tomato paste annually. Trade Minister Alan Chermantin says trade protocols adopted by ECOWAS and the African Union will make market available for the finished product.
Ghana has one of the highest per capita consumption of tomatoes and derivatives of tomatoes. And according to available statistics, Ghana imported in 2018 almost $100 million worth of tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, mostly from Burkina Faso. Now, the importation of processed tomato is even a multiple of what we import as fresh tomatoes. So you can understand that there is a major opportunity for import substitution in Ghana for tomato and tomato products. And that is why we must commend and celebrate what we are witnessing here today as a major step in the import substitution program for tomato and tomato products. But it is important also for us to consider that there are many other benefits of this particular enterprise. It is going to provide jobs, particularly for the youth and women in this district, in this rural community. It is also going to add value to one of the most important commodities, crops in our country. But it goes beyond that. Potentially, with the establishment of the Continental Free Trade Area, it also has the potential of generating significant foreign exchange resources by exporting not only to ECOWAS, but to the rest of Africa.
President Akufo-Addo says industrialization holds the key to development and reiterated government's commitment to create the environment for businesses to grow.
These are important developments in our nation, and they are important because we're receiving investment, in the case of this particular facility, of $23 million, which are an expression of the confidence the Chinese and other investors have in the management and direction of our national economy. I want to support all the statements that will be made by the minister about the various collateral benefits and consequences and developments that are coming from this facility. We have the possibility from here to develop a large export market, not just for ECOWAS, but also ultimately when trading in the African Continental Free Trade Area begins in July of next year for the African single market. The program of industrial transformation, allied to value addition to our agricultural produce, is represented by this factory here today. And I'm very happy that this factory is coming up because it is yet another example of the very strong relations, economic relations between the People's Republic of China and the Republic of Ghana. I welcome that relationship, and I'm hoping that out of it, many, many more investments are going to come down the line.
Ghana is expected to make over $2.5 billion in revenue from the year of return. That is according to the Tourism Minister, Barbara Otinjesi, who says as of September 2019, 750,000 diasporans have visited the country. Taking her turn at the Meet the Press series, the Tourism Minister noted an action plan had begun to ensure that the country is safe and environmentally friendly for the year of return. Nancy Emefa-Jodosi was there and has come through with this report.
And that's how we end the bulletin. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more news and updates of developing stories. On behalf of the rest of the team, enjoy the rest of our programs.